What's going on, y'all? So I wanted to go over Phoebe and playing her with Rover because she's kind of complicated, and I've had a lot of time. I've been really testing her and playing with her and kind of figuring things out. Just kind of wanted to go over how you should play her with Rover if that's what you're trying to do to really capitalize on Spectro Frazzle. So let's dive right in. Let's get to talking about it. Let's do a rundown real quick, and then I'll show y'all as well. I'll show you examples and show you exactly how this works and explain everything, because there's a lot of questions about Phoebe and, you know, if she's actually strong, if she's actually worthwhile, how to play her, and so, because her kit is very unique, and she's our first character who is very much like Death Over Time. That's what her kit revolves around. So let's dive in. But first, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. So Phoebe is a rectifier user. Of course, you get her from her banner, and she is the first character who's really going to utilize the Spectro Frazzle, which was introduced recently in Renacida. Now, do understand that Rover also got a rework where his kit, his or her kit, also utilizes Spectro Frazzle. So one of the first highlights that you want to see here, if you're doing this Phoebe Rover combo, is understanding Shimmer. Shimmer prevents Spectro Frazzle stacks from reducing over time. This is going to be big for both Phoebe and for Rover, but of course more so for Phoebe, because that's who you really want to run. That's your DPS. This is going to be big for them because obviously it's going to slow down those Spectro Frazzle stacks going away. Now, the max amount of stacks that you can have is 10. Now, Spectro Frazzle is pretty much just like poison. Think of it like that. It's like poison. It's going to reduce, you know, the HP over time, and also it's going to benefit increases with an echo set, such as the Eternal Radiance. The Eternal Radiance, as you can see here, inflicting enemies with Spectro Frazzle increases crit rate. Attacking enemies with 10 stacks of Spectro Frazzle increases Spectro damage. So what does that tell us here? That tells us that we, ideally speaking, want 10 stacks of Spectro Frazzle, correct? Correct. So moving over to Phoebe, you're really going to want a basic kit for her. You're going to want either crit rate, crit damage, depending on what your weapons are. You're going to want to run 2 Spectro units here on your 3 slots, and then some attacks on here. Now, of course, she likes stats like attack and crit rate. You really want attack as well. Of course, I mean, she's a DPS, so you want that attack percentage on there. She also leans heavily on her heavy attack, and you could maybe put some into basic attack as well. But nonetheless, those main things that you're going to be using are really going to be that heavy attack and that liberation damage bonus are kind of the main things that you're going to be using, your main damage outputs, but you're also going to be using those basic attacks while you're building it into those heavy attacks. And we'll kind of show it all in action and combat as well. Now, I am no whale, so I have the Ocean's Gift. So this is what I really want to highlight on, because the Ocean's Gift is probably what a good majority of us are going to have, you know, if you're not a whale or whatever. I actually wasn't planning to pull on Phoebe, kind of got on after the update, did a 10 pull, and she showed up on the 50-50 at like 30 pity. So it is what it is. And I'm actually glad that I got her, though, because she's actually a really great character, really fun character. So I'm very glad that I got her. But nonetheless, her weapon, the Ocean's Gift, is going to work. Remember, we're just talking about the Spectro Frazzle, right? And we'll go over her kit too. We were just talking about the Spectro Frazzle. And remember here, dealing damage to enemies with Spectro Frazzle increases the wielder's Spectro damage by 10%, gaining 1 stack per second for 6 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. So that's 40% Spectro damage. 40% Spectro damage. So this is pretty much 100% uptime, because you're pretty much always going to have Spectro Frazzle on an enemy, especially if you're running with Rover. Understand that. So now that we understand Spectro Frazzle a little bit, her kit is going to really consist of the main thing here that you need to understand is the different versions that you can go into, which is Absolution and Confession. Now, pretty much an easy way to put it is that Absolution is you hold down the basic attack button, so you pretty much are doing a heavy attack. You hold that down, and it will enter a mode that will do more Spectro damage. Whereas Confession, you hold down the skills, so you hold down E if you're on keyboard, and that will enter Confession, which will help stacks of Spectro Frazzle. Pretty much whenever she does her heavy attack on Confession, it introduces 5 stacks of Spectro Frazzle every time that she introduces her enhanced heavy attack. And so her enhanced heavy attack is pretty much this right here. When Phoebe has Divine Voice, casting basic attack stage 3 or dodge counter replaces the next heavy attack with heavy attack Star Flash, which deals spectral damage at the cost of 30 Divine Voice. Absolution enhancement reduces the cost of Divine Voice by 15 when the target hits has Spectro Frazzle. Skill gains 256 damage amplification. She has some crazy modifiers, by the way. Confession Enhance, apply 5 stacks of Spectro Frazzle to the target enemies. So, simple way to put here, remember we want 10 Spectro Frazzles, idealistically speaking, or just as many as we can have. So if you're running with Rover and you're running with Phoebe, let's just kind of just show it in combat real quick, so that way y'all can just kind of see it and how it would look like. Now, as you can see here on the bottom right, one of those has a blue circle around it, the E, whereas the normal attack has the gold circle. So the blue signifies Confession. Confession is the one that is very strong with Spectro Frazzle. It's going to give you the 5 stacks of Spectro Frazzle. Whereas the basic attack, the golden one, is going to be the Spectro damage bonus. So initially what you would probably want to do is open up with Confession, which is the blue one. So we'll go down here, you'll kind of see, and what I'm going to do here is utilize the Rover, because the Rover, his Resonant skill and its Liberation put on stacks. Remember, if you go back to the kit with the Rover, you will see
as we head toward our shared future.
This Liberation will put 6 stacks of Spectro Frazzle. Remember, we want 10, so 6 stacks is a lot. As such, I did recently replace one of these with an energy regen. You could almost pretty much essentially using him as a battery, pretty much. So you could put this as energy regen, keep one as Spectro. You could maybe even go as far as just putting both of these as energy regen if you really wanted to. I might test that out. We're utilizing the sets now. I guess we have all these different ones, right? Oh, it feels so good. It feels so freaking good having the actual loadout. So, oh my goodness. So this is my first utilization of it. So this is nice. His old set has his other gear on it. And then now we have this one with the energy regen. So we'll test things out. We'll test things out. But nonetheless, as you can see here, the Resonant Liberation gives 6 stacks of Spectral Frazzle. And then you see here, the Shimmer also prevents Spectral Frazzle stacks from reducing over time. So you really want to kind of capitalize on these and try to capitalize on these when they're high. So we'll go down here. We'll kind of just smash this guy up real quick. And so I'm going to go down here. I'm going to immediately go into Confession on her. Just to kind of just get things started. Go into Confession here. And then let's switch to Rover. We're going to get some stacks on here right off the jump. Boom. Now you see the icon on the mob right there. You see it's at 8 right now. So we're already up here pretty high. Now I can pre-go here, heavy attack, boom. Now we're at 10 already. So now we're getting a damage boost. As you see here, we're staying at 10. Now I'm not playing too well right now, and that's perfectly fine because I'm just trying to show this and really just show y'all what's going on here. And then pretty much you can go into rotation with her, and you see how every time she's hitting that charge attack, she's keeping that thing up. She's keeping that charge up. Now it's going down now. This wasn't a very, a very good run. But you can see that every time I was hitting her enhanced heavy attack, it's going to put a stack of that Spectral Frazzle on. So pretty much you want to get that Spectral Frazzle up there to the top as much as possible at 10. Hit that resonance with him to put that shimmer on there to kind of slow it down a little bit. Then you kind of transfer over to her and keep on going with the just full out DPS onslaught. Because as you hit that enhanced heavy attack, it will put 1 stack on there. So it will kind of stay right where it's at. Now, if you are in the blue phase, it will, continue to get 5 stacks while you have full voice. Now, the full voice is this other bar. As you can see at the very bottom where my HP is at, there's a solid yellow bar. That is your voice. So when that voice is all the way up, that's when you can go into these modes, and then it gets depleted as you do your heavy attack. And then once it gets depleted, you will stay in the same mode, but then you'll have to decide on which one to go to. So we'll run another fight again. So here we have Bike Boy. So let's go and see what Bike Boy's doing. And let's kind of go into here. Now we're already in Absolution right now. So we're not in Confession, which is our Spectro Frazzle mode. But we can still come in here very strongly with us.
Moment of resonance.
And as you can see, we have 8 stats right there. So either way, we're still eating good here. But remember, for this weapon, you really just need 4 stacks.
Pain is my penitence.
So, as you see here, you really just need 4 stacks for this, remember? Stacking up to 4 times to get that 40% spectral damage boost, which is what you want there. So this is obviously very important, and then of course just remember that the Echo set also is going to increase your damage at 10 stacks. So getting that 10 stacks is an extra bonus. Now, if you're wondering about the crit rate, it's gonna give you to 110%. So do keep that in mind as well, in case you're wondering about that. So this will bump up. You'll see it in the next fight as we go to something else. And so before we go into this fight, I want you to note something. So
Today will be a fine
on
day.
her skill tree here, you'll notice the outro skill. Deal spectral damage equal to 528.41% of Phoebe's attack. Remember how I said that you want some attack? Remember how I said that before? That's why. Absolution enhancement increased the damage multiplier by 255%. Confession grant silent prayer to the resonator on the field, reducing the spectral res of nearby targets by 10% and granting 100% spectral frazzle damage amplification. When Spectro Frazzled inflicts damage, extend Spectro Frazzle's damage interval by 50%. This effect lasts 30 seconds or until Phoebe switches to Absolution status. So, pretty much, long story short, this thing does a lot of freaking damage. Her outro skill is so overly OP, it is absurd. Now, also keep in mind, I forgot to mention this, you have Rover, which means that you probably have all max constellations on Rover, whatever they're called, resonance chains. Do remember that you also get this res down. So the target spectral res by 10%. So understand that as well, that you're also feeding Phoebe with this in your Rover's kit. So let's go in here and let's try this out again. So we see we have Confession here. We have Blue already ready. So we'll open with that. So we'll go into that. Need to get some HP as well. So we'll hold that to go into it. Need to get some HP immediately. So we'll go ahead and pop into this. And then I'm going to go to Rover. Now we have all these stacks here. We have 8 stacks there. Now we're just going to apply this. And as you see, there we're at 10 right there. And we're just going crazy on this bird. Not even using my ult there. As you can see there, that's how it's supposed to work there. That's how the ideal rotation is going to look like there with a Rover. And then it gets to a point as well that once you're really into that, if you start out, especially if you start out with Confession already, then you can switch over to Absolution while you're in the fight and maintain that high Spectro Frazzle. So now you're maintaining that high Spectro Frazzle and you're getting that spectral damage bonus from Absolution. So this is how you really want that to work. But first, let's show this outro skill that I really want y'all to see, so that way you can really get a good look at just how strong it is. Okay, so we'll go into this. We're going to go into this in Absolution, just for all intents and purposes of showing this outro skill. So we'll hold basic attack there. It took me to Absolution. But we're going to put some stacks on you. So it's going to put 6 stacks there. I actually did that backwards. So I should have done my resonance skill a bit backwards after that. We're going to go ahead and use this. I'm kind of playing sloppy here. That's perfectly okay. We're just trying to show this outro skill. And then we're going to use this. And watch closely. Do you see that? You saw how effective that was in regards to the damage that was kind of outputting there. Now, that wasn't the best of examples because I wasn't in the best of rotations there with maximum rotations, but you saw just how strong that outro skill is. So, ideal rotation there, you know, bouncing in between these two is very lovely. Now, if you wonder about this circle, by the way, you can kind of just teleport back to it. So you can place it down, and if you press it again, this will take you right back inside of it. And so when you're inside, you're going to get different effects versus when you're outside of it. As you can see, she's now shooting beams. Whereas when you're inside, you're going to get this effect. And this will be seen here on her kit. So Ring of Mirrors lasts for 30 seconds. When Phoebe summons a new Ring of Mirrors, the existing Ring of Mirrors disappears. When Phoebe is outside of the Ring of Mirrors, a basic attack or dodge counter that hits the Ring of Mirrors will refract Holy Light, which deals spectral damage to targets inside the Ring of Mirrors, and pulls the target's hit to the center of the ring. The damage dealt is considered basic attack damage, can be triggered once every 0.5 seconds. When Phoebe is inside the Ring of Mirrors, basic attack becomes basic attack Chamuel Star, which performs up to 3 consecutive attacks, dealing spectral damage, considered basic attack damage. So those are the 2 different versions of what you're going to get in regards to this ring. So just keep that in mind. Pretty much most of the time, simply put, you want to beam set the ring, but you can also use this to pretty much dodge a mob as well. If the mob is kind of coming at you, you can use that to teleport away from the mob right before it hits you, and then just boom, you're good to go. It's really diverse as to how she can be used. Also, as you may have just seen there, she is a goat in exploration. As you can see here, if you hold her heavy attack, she'll help with her broom. But the thing is here is that you can actually do this twice. So you can go just like so, So like so, and then you can even go further because it will reactivate after a grapple, which is absolutely huge. So you can keep doing this as long as you've had grapples, as long as you have airtime, which makes her absolutely incredible for exploration to a crazy degree. This can also be used in boss fights if you get really creative with it, because it allows her to move so quickly away from everything, which is absolutely incredible and creates for a much more mobile character than we have seen before. So all in all, Phoebe is a really great character, and she's a really fun character who has some really neat mechanics. Pretty sure I touched on everything here. If I didn't, just tell me in the comments if you have any questions about anything. But I really want to address this because I think that a lot of people maybe find it difficult or just kind of confused on how to play her, especially with Rover. You know, you've seen some guys or whatnot and things that kind of just like touch on things, but how do you really capitalize and play her with Rover, because the different styles that she has, different sets that she has and whatnot. As you can see, the echoes that I have on her and what her priorities should be. Obviously, it's the Nightmare Morning Axe, which is your priority because it is going to give you that spectral damage bonus as seen here. So you definitely want that. Nonetheless, this is what her kit's going to more or less look like in that regard. So you should check that out. It's going to be crit rate, double spectros, and attacks, or you can do crit damage as well, of course. Her signature weapon does give crit rate, so that would be means to do crit damage, of course. But also realize that you're going to get a boost on your crit rate with that Spectro Frazzle being applied and with this artifact for this Echo set. So do understand that. But nonetheless, she is a very enjoyable character. She's a very strong character, especially when paired with Rover, which is, you know, the only other character who can utilize Spectral Frazzle at the moment. So she's our first Death Over Time character, first Dot character, and she is pretty enjoyable. Not only is she an absolute beauty, but she's a beast on the combat battlefield. She's also very great against bosses who are very mobile, because she can shoot them from wherever they are. So bosses that like to fly around a lot, you know, maybe like this guy over here who likes to fly around all the time, no problem. Or fallacy, no problem. Because she can continue to output that damage from wherever she's at, which is nice. And then if she wants to, she can just go right back to the circle with that E, teleport, boom. So if you're going to check out Phoebe, then she's definitely a fun character to have. Of course, you know, if you're looking forward to someone else, hey, it's your choice. Obviously, you know, I skip some, I pull some, whatever. But I really just wanted to make this video because I thought that it would be useful to people who need a better understanding of her, because it's taken me the better part of a week to really kind of finally get into a good rotation and fully kind of understand how to play her with Rover. So hopefully this helped, and if it did, please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Much love. Holla.
I'm okay.
Swift and resolute, knowing the end has come.
Appear before me. Together we stand. Crystals, give me strength.
Spikes content.